Colquitt's River is a river system in Victoria, BC, which runs from Beaver Lake to Portage Inlet. In past years, coho salmon, cutthroat trout, and chum salmon have thrived in the Colquitt's ecosystem. However, recent years have sparked need for restoration projects aiming at these salmonids. Geiger classification in Victoria. The location of the Colquitt's River is CSB or Mediterranean Summer Dry. Coldest month in Victoria has a monthly daily average air temperature of around 4 degrees Celsius, while the warmest months are typically in the mid to high teens. Summers have pronounced dry spells, and winters have the most precipitation. 1980 was the last year discharge was measured on the Colquitt's River each month, and this graph shows discharge levels that coincide with monthly precipitation in Victoria. In December, when precipitation is near its peak, we saw 2.50 meters cubed of discharge per second at the Colquitt's River at Hyacinth Road, and during the summer months we saw as low as 0.0350 meters cubed per second discharge in the year 1980. The Colquitt's River lacks any meander at its headlands due to the steep banks surrounding it, as well as up and down topography of Beaver Lake Park. In the winter, this Beaver Lake area, where the Colquitt's River runs, can bring muddy sediment off its slopes into the Colquitt's River due to the height and instability of the Colquitt's River's initial banks. And that, combined with high precipitation, of course brings that mud off the slope into the river. But as the river moves downstream, the topography flattens out and a meander becomes evident even as soon as the river exits the Beaver Lake area. You can see this. To get to the location where the film is taken, follow West Saanich Road all the way to Beaver Lake Road, and then take that road all the way to the parking lot, and at the far end of the parking lot from where you have entered, the river is right there. In this video, we are looking at what appears to be a bush, but what is actually an island, which has water running on either side of it, which meets up again at the end of this video. In this video, we have a small eddy, which is a disruption in the natural movement of the water, in this case due to rocks in the stream. This location here is an estuary. It is where the ocean has met the Colquitt's River, and sediment is flowing out of the Colquitt's River, some of it from very far upstream, even where Beaver Lake starts the Colquitt's River, out into the ocean, where we see patches of sediment where it is much less blue, all the way from the beach out a few hundred meters into the ocean at Portage Inlet. The estuary here is a very strong filtering system, making sure there is no damage from the contents of the stream into the ocean where marine life is living. The Colquitt's River is most heavily influenced by its topography. At its output location, at Portage Inlet, we start to see a slight meander as we move a little bit inland, here mostly. And when we zoom in, we can see it more definitively as it goes back and forth through here, meandering through the Tillicum area, where the sidewalk also mirrors the river's motion, a meander. Now at the headlands, we can see how topography plays a role in the sediment transport in the river. This area over here is more elevated than where the river starts down here. So in the winter in Victoria, when it rains heavily, the sediment under this tree line is largely very muddy and flows down into the headlands of the Colquitt's River, which then begin to flow downstream. It is also important not to forget that the Colquitt's River's location in an urban setting, yet with plenty of vegetation, means it is a very important location for wildlife and biodiversity.